Hope you're well. I'm Magenta Quinn and I'm here to teach you information about acrylic paint pouring. It's a wonderful art form and I'm really excited to share some of the stuff that I've learned over time with you all. I thought I'd start out with just a little bit of an introduction. I'm a creative person. I have been most of my life, you may be able to tell. And I've done a whole range of things over time. I've done a lot of tactile elements, I've done hands-on, I've done painting, I've done a range of things. And I first discovered acrylic paint pouring back in early 2017. When I first found out about it, there was around about half a dozen methods that were named and known, and that was around about it. In 2020, it expanded massively, as I'm sure you can guess, because a lot of people were at home finding other outlets, doing lots of different creative things. So it really took off then, and the named, known methods expanded to probably about 80 in that year. It's expanded over time, and then that year it hit about 80, and then by the end of 2021, it was well over 100. So there's lots and lots you can experiment with and do. Out of the ones that I'm aware of, I've probably done about 50 to 60 since 2017. And there's a whole heap more that I don't know about that keep getting invented and created. That's one of the great things about this art form. You have a lot of flexibility and a lot of opportunity to go ahead and make different things and try out different styles and all that sort of stuff. And it's just fun. It's just wonderful. So for this particular course, what we're doing is an introduction to paint pouring. So I'm doing the courses in a few modules because I feel like that just would make a lot more sense. I know a lot of us have questions when we get started about what do I even use, what paints are okay, how do I set up, what about cleaning, all that sort of thing. And that sort of stuff I'm going to be covering off in this particular course. So I'm going to be going through what type of paints you can use, the different levels of quality, because the quality of the paint you're using does make a difference to your end result. The mediums, the additives, some of the terminology, and also some samples and examples of the type of things you can create from what you do in your pouring styles. I'm going to have examples of some, others I'm just going to talk about and show you or suggest for you to look up for your area. So because I do so much of my stuff with what you have and then a little bit extra, don't feel like you have to go out and buy 1,000 things to get you started, though you can if you want. Some people do. Some people buy a whole heap of stuff and get themselves a full kit, but then we also freeze. I remember the very first piece of pouring art I ever did. I actually had an old canvas that I'd gotten from an op shop, so I felt like if I messed it up, it wasn't going to be so much of a problem. But I didn't mix enough paint, and it was too thick, and I didn't have my consistencies, and it was very overwhelming. But I had to go, and I learned a heap. I also did a really big canvas, which may have been a bit of a mistake. Starting smaller means you're using this paint is a little bit easier to get yourself going. So that was my first one. And then I did another one after that, again on a used canvas, and then I got my first blank canvas. I remember staring at it and thinking, what if I get this wrong? What if it's bad? What if it's good? What if I don't know? And it was overwhelming. So if you're staring at a canvas and going, what if I do this wrong? You're not alone. But the great thing about this art form, there really isn't anything wrong. A lot of it is just learning. Learning about your consistencies, learning about your methods, learning about how to make things work in a way that makes you happy. Because over time, you will improve and grow and become better. I'm just going to start here with a few examples that I've got around me, and then we'll get into the course itself. This particular one, this little heart, it has a metallic paint in it. Now, you might be able to see that there, the little bit of shine that's going on. That extra shine in the blues, that's the metallic paint, but the finish I use is a spray gloss. Some people use varnish, some use resin. I'll go through all of that. So that particular one has a metallic paint in it. This one is a beach pour method. So when you're doing beach pours, your aim is to have just a little bit of the beach there and then the waves. This was a couple of flip cups. There's other ways you can do that one too. This one here is just a little straw blown. So for straw blowing, the aim is to make the paint move out. That's a white negative space base 3 colours, blown out, and I love it. I love the result on that one. I also really like working on different surfaces. These are great because they're little, which means you can do a lot of practicing without having to worry so much about whether or not you're losing paint or using too much paint or you're wasting paint. This is one of the surfaces I like to work on too. It's a really hard disc made of a PVC acrylic. That one's a dirty pour. That's another method. This one is a ring pour. Yet another method. This one's on a canvas. But there's just lots and lots and lots of options. And then also, after you've been creating, you've got options about what to do with the leftovers. Oh, and this one, that is a... This one is a Dutch pour, done with a hairdryer. Again, I've got the metallic paint in that blue. You can see that little extra pop and shine there. I love it, it's so pretty. As you get to being more creative with this art form, you can then expand into other things as well. Like, for example, this is a cheese grater swirl swipe. That one is quite advanced. I didn't get a spinner until I was about 4 years in to doing paint pouring. Everything I did up to then, I tried spinning, didn't like the results, tried something else. About 4 years in, I went and got myself a cake spinner rather than a Lazy Susan, and it was amazing, and that's when I created that one. So as you go, as you learn, you can build up what you have. You don't have to buy a whole heap to get you started. And once you start progressing and learning and getting your consistencies right and working on your methods, you can end up with just a whole heap of wonderful things. And just, it's exciting. Like, honestly, I get so excited so often about what I'm creating because the form itself is so variable. There's no guarantees about what you're going to make, but so often I end up with something just beautiful that I may or may not have expected. And just to point out this one here as well, this is paper crafting. So I catch my paint on papers, and I'll show you that part as well, and end up creating something else with them. So that one's paper crafting, and then you can also make jewellery. Again, I'll do it with the papers. So, with a variety of patterns and things. Some are on chains, some are on cords. So, acrylic paint pouring, what can you do with it? Heaps! What can you pour on? Lots! What paints can you use? Quite a few. We'll go through all that. Thanks for joining me. Let's have fun.